Hi guys, welcome back on the channel. Today is the first video of a series of videos I'm going to start called Big Battle Rules. Now this video is not going to be like a review or analysis of rules. You know, I have many rules reviews, I have many battle reports, I have many mechanics reports for almost all the rule sets I'm playing and I have. But this is going to be a more speed-like video, if this expression is correct, where I'm going to tell you, I think this is going to be more interesting, what I like from a rule set and what I don't like that much. In this way, you can get the bullet points, see what I like, because not all rule sets have things that I enjoy, but you know, you put it in a scale, you balance it, and you see what are the positives and what are the negatives, and then you enjoy. You play, you purchase it. So I'm gonna tell you what I like, what I don't like, and it could have been changed. And we will do this for all the rules I've reviewed and new rules. And maybe you can have, you know, your opinion changed, or you decide that you may be interested in the rule set. Now today the first part will be Sword Point, never mind the Billhooks Deluxe and Days of Nights. So let's start with Sword Point and see what I like, what I don't like. As I said, it's going to be a couple of mechanics and not a detailed analysis of the rules. So what I don't like about Sword Point, and I think it's missed, is the command and control. Units in Sword Point can move without any problem. It doesn't matter specifically the command range. The command range in Sword Point plays a role for morale and for rallying, and it's a quite interesting concept. But the units move without any restraint or, let's say, command points. I would have liked to see some kind of restraint in the unit's movement. Now, the Sword Point philosophy is that you have cumbersome, slow, difficult moves for heavy infantry troops, but more flexible and fluid movement for mounted troops. Thus, the strategy behind Sword Point is, you know, pin your opponents in hand-to-hand combat and attack them from the flanks with your mounted knights. So this is one thing I don't like about Sword Point. I don't think there is much more. I think shooting is a little bit weak for specifically the 100 Years' War English. I think shooting could have been made a bit stronger. So this is the criticism for Sword Point in very, very few words. Now, what I like about Sword Point, and this is something we're going to see here, what I like about Sword Point is that Sword Point forces you to keep a coherent line. Sword Point forces you to have a line of battle because of the line of battle rule. The way that Sword Point is designed for a coherent line for movement of troops together, supporting each other. And that's called the line of battle. The line of battle is minimum, it's 3 or 2 troops, units together, as you can see here, 1 to 3. Between them, there should not be more than 1 inch. So let me put it a little bit closer here. A little bit closer here. So the line of battle, this is very important, because when you're fighting an opponent, and let's see an opponent fighting, so in Sword Point, when you have hand-to-hand combat, and you have 1 unit from your opponent, the result, the hits that your opponent is going to inflict you, let's put a commander here, will be divided to the units that are part of the line of battle. So you cannot have more than 3 units in the line of battle. So let's say if your opponent causes you 5 hits, that's a break test. You divide these 5 hits, and the battle resolution, 5 hits, excuse me, the battle resolution is let's say 6 or 5. This is divided by the 3 units that are part of the line of battle, round it up, and then you see it's basically 2, and 2 means continue fighting or get pushed back. So the way that the Sword Point is designed, the battle resolution calculation, not the fighting, just to be clear, the wounds are inflicted to the units that your opponent is currently into contact, but the battle resolution has to do with modifiers, is divided by the 3 units. So the way that the rules are depicted and are designed, even if you have a super unit, it cannot win very easily, even a line of battle of 3 weaker units. The line of battle will always have an advantage against the super unit. So this is something I like very much in SWORDPOINT. It's something that I really enjoy. Now, another thing I enjoy in SWORDPOINT is the way they do the pushbacks. Now, if you the pushbacks really change totally the balance and the specifics of the battle in an instance. So let's go and see what I mean. So let us say there is a battle between this specific Barons War unit and this specific Barons War Rebels unit, and they're fighting. So they're fighting the hand-to-hand combat. The hits will be inflicted between these units, but this unit, let's say the one with the flag, has another one supporting it. So it will divide the battle resolution by 2. It's on the flank, so it has only 1. Now, if let's say the isolated unit wins and pushes back, always a victory, or it has to do with pushing back the opponent, even if it's a minor. Now, the pushback unit has an option to be pushed back with the supports, and that would mean that it will continue having support. The supports decide to be pushed back with the unit that is currently fighting. If this is not possible because this unit is fighting with another unit, and let's see here, let's put so let us say the units are fighting already. Obviously the unit that has to be pushed back will be pushed back, but then immediately the balance of power, the line of battle, the supports change. The unit is pushed back. So see what's happened. The unit is pushed back, and immediately the balance of power changes. The unit now, the friendly unit doesn't have support, but it has to fight 2 opponents with supports. The units that they are side to side within 1 inch, the 2 opposing units, create nervous. They are both nervous, so they get a -1. But immediately the battle changed. Immediately there is a totally different situation because of the pushback, because of a unit being impetuous and following continuously. It may have won, it may have inflicted wounds and pushed back their opponent, but here their friends are now isolated, and the friends now have to fight 2 units. Immediately the balance changes, and this continuously goes on. If the red army, let's say under the command of the bishop, pushes back this unit, it has to decide if their opponents, their friendly unit, will continue supporting it. Every time there is a decision with these pushbacks, and the line of battle changes, and the balance of power changes. Now let's go to Days of Knights. Days of Knights is a rule set I really like. It is for 15 mm or smaller miniatures, but can very easily accommodate 28 mm if you double the distance. It's not a big issue. Now, what I like about the most Days of Knights and what I don't. There's nothing that I don't particularly like about Days of Knights. I would say it has the system of DBA, that a unit becomes disordered if it loses. If it loses by more than half, it's destroyed. If it loses twice, it becomes double disorder and is pushed back. So there is the pushback option that I like. There are support options that I like. There is nothing that I don't particularly like about Days of Knights. The command and control is the same. That's the same. Like you move your units without any problem, but there is some specifics that I like that I'll tell you now. So let's see what I like about Days of Knights. And one is the fear rule. Now, there are some units that cause fear, and that would be foot knights and mounted knights. And some units that fear them, and that would be lesser units. Would be longbowmen, would be any kind of men-at-arms, not in the foot knights. And this is a rule that I really enjoy. So let's see the situation here. We have a unit of mounted knights that is feared, but let's say these are normal men-at-arms. Before we charge, we roll a d10. And depending on the type of the unit that is being attacked and what the roll the number you roll, this unit may be disordered, may be double disordered and be pushed back immediately, or may be destroyed and flee. I love this rule because it's something that not many rules depict. There was fear there, especially in the Baron's War, where the knights were, like tanks in a way, because of their foot was so weak. I like very much the rule of fear, the rule that you are touching, the terror that you see a very high-ranked unit, very well armored, attacking you, and you have to roll before. Obviously, depending on what you have beside you, you have higher-ranking units, you get some modifiers, another very good idea. But I like the idea in general that units fear and can be immediately removed or destroyed when attacked by a higher-ranking unit. So that's very nice to me. Now, another rule I like very much from Days and Nights is the movement and command and control rule, and I'll explain to you what I mean. So, Days of Nights have different denominations of commanders. It has captains, it has marshal, it has kings, it has mercenary captains. Every type of commander can move as a group a specific number of units. So a captain can move as a group only one unit and maneuver it. A commander, a high-ranking commander as a marshal, can move a whole contingent. Now, units move regardless of if they are attached or not to a commander. But what is the difference? The difference is that they cannot maneuver, and this is what I like about the rules. So in the rules you have, say, as a moving arc, the 45 degrees from the unit, and within the moving arc, any unit, even without a commander, can move. So it can go anywhere within this arc, like even staggered. But if you don't have a commander attached, if you don't have a captain, if for you are one unit, if you don't have a marshal, if you are, let's say, more than one unit, you cannot maneuver, you cannot turn around, you cannot do any type of 90 degrees or 180 degrees moves. And that's very important because this is very nice during hand-to-hand combat, and I'll show you what's happening. So let's say a unit of knights is fighting with a unit of foot, and the unit of foot loses, and we remove it. Let's say we remove it here. The unit of foot loses. The base. The basing, obviously, we'll discuss now. And then the knights, because they're impetuous, they have to do a full move. Will take a morale test, and let's say they take a morale test, and then they move compulsory to the location of the destroyed unit. And they have the ability to turn and attack their opponent in the flanks. This they cannot do. They cannot do because they don't have a commander to maneuver them. They can go straight if they want to within the angle, as you can see, but they cannot maneuver. If they failed the morale test and because they're impetuous, they had to move further, as we have in many rules, they would have been able to come back unless a commander would come and turn them around and put them together and create a line of battle. This is what I like a lot about Days of Nights, that commanders and different denominations of commanders play a very, very important role. The units move, the units attack, but then in order to maneuver them, to put them in line of battle, to control, to make a coherent line, you need to have commanders in order to turn them left and right. I like very much the terror rule, and also I like the rule that depicts that if a unit is disordered or double disordered, it cannot attack or it cannot move even towards the opponent if it's just double disordered, and that creates a very interesting situations because you start with a coherent line. You start with a big line of battle, but because of shooting, because of hand-to-hand combat, the line of battle breaks, and then units cannot have a coherent line again unless a commander comes and reins them in, as we say. So this is what I like about Days of Nights. I like it a lot. I like a lot these rules. I think they should be checked if you like DBA style rules, but a little bit much more brought up for the 100 war, generally speaking, for the medieval era. And these are the rules, the mechanics I like a lot. So let's now go to Billhooks. So for billhooks, what I like in billhooks? For sure, first of all, in billhooks, I like the playing deck. Why? Because I'm a solo gamer and it makes the game very solo friendly. I like the playing deck that randomizes the sequence and gives me an unpredictability and fun in my game. I like the bonus decks that you draw once in a while, and it gives you some unexpected events and some unexpected bonuses and minuses. I like the special event deck that gives you weather changes or again some unexpected findings at site or some mishaps, and I really like this deck. It really spices up my game a lot. So this is one thing I like about billhooks. Now the second thing I like about billhooks is that in hand-to-hand combat you can do formations, and you have for example before we go there, I have to say I like that the rules provide special rules for different periods. So they have specific rules for the 100 Years' War with some difference from the core rules that make the game more, closer to the specific period. This is one. So one thing I like in billhooks is very important for me is the formations. They provide you with hearse formation that has some advantages. You have block formations that I like very much, that can happen especially during hand-to-hand combat also. That is something I like, that units, as you can see here, units can pile up unless even if you haven't started with a block formation, that you have advantages by fighting in with the first line of the second unit. I like that units can pile up, can support their comrades even during hand-to-hand combat, giving them more, if this is possibility, giving them more dice to fight. So this is something I really like in billhooks. I like the different formations that also are friendly for the period. Now another thing I like in billhooks, but very important for me, is the rounds of melee. Every time you fight a melee, every round becomes more difficult. So let's see what we're talking about. So when you fight here, in the first round of melee, everything's okay depending on your unit disposition. You hit with a 4, 5, and a 6, and you're fighting melee. Now, if this continues in the second round of melee, now you fight more difficult. You need a +5 to hit, and if you have a third round of melee, that's the last round of melee, you become disarrayed with negative modifiers, both units obviously, and melee is becoming even more difficult to hit or more difficult to contain yourself in melee. So I think this is a very nice idea. I like it. I'm not saying these ideas are innovative. I'm sure they've been played before and the previous one with SWORDPOINT. But I like the idea a lot that there is a continuous melee, that the units are deteriorating, their way, their capabilities of attacking, of hitting their opponent are becoming worse and worse, and they're becoming disarrayed and disordered. So I like this a lot for SWORDPOINT, plus the other two things I mentioned. SWORDPOINT, Billhooks Deluxe. So what I don't like very much in billhooks. So if a unit fails the morale test with the +5, but equal to the number of hits that inflicted, then you fall back 4 inches and you become disarrayed. What I don't like is that you don't have follow-ups. You don't have a follow-up melee. You don't have pushbacks. You don't have a bit of a recoils, at least. I would like this to happen in rules. I don't like very much the continuous melee that doesn't create differences in how the actual combat works and how the actual combat looks. I would like to have at least a couple of recalls and pushbacks during hand-to-hand combat. I don't think it's difficult because, as I said, the 5+ rule, the failed morale test rule over 5+ but less than your hits, accommodates pushbacks. Maybe this could have been a follow-up. Instead of being a full move that the unit totally goes far away, it's like a retreat. It could be a pushback of 4 inches and your opponent having the option to follow up. I think this would have been interesting to me. Another thing now that I like, I forgot, the last thing that I have to say about billhooks that I like a lot has to do with shooting. Now, shooting in billhooks, it's straightforward. It's actually quite powerful, especially for the 100 Years' War. That is fine by me. But it has one really interesting option. You cannot shoot more than 6 times. There is a specific number of supplies of arrows that a unit can shoot with, and this 6 times. That means if you play a big game, you have to be very careful when to shoot, what opponent to shoot, so you can get more of your missiles troops. And that's very important because it adds a strategic option to the game. I like that every time you shoot, you go down to 5, then to 4, and then at the end, these units of longbowmen become only a melee unit that they can help you fight, and they lose their shooting power. Another great rule that gives you extra things to think about. So this is from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed this, you like this series with the bullet points of what I like from rule sets, and what I like and what I don't like. Let me know if you have any questions. More rule sets. Obviously this big battles rule season will continue. Let me know if you have any specific rules that you want me to talk about, but we start with these and we'll go with all the rule sets I've ever reviewed. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. Have a great upcoming weekend. Bye bye.